Radio. Broadcasting live from our studio in Nassau, the Bahamas, and throughout the world. TSR Radio. Pulling down the strongholds of the enemy in Nassau, the Bahamas, and throughout the world.
Well, welcome back. We have been talking to Dr. William Thompson, one of the leading clergymen here in the beautiful islands of the Bahamas. And of course, you're tuned in to the Morning Breakthrough Show up in here. And we've been having a wonderful time again, coming to you from the beautiful islands of the Bahamas, the place where God lives. And you've just got to understand that once you get here, you will begin to see exactly what I've said. We reminded a couple of folk yesterday who've been to the Holy Land and all of that type of thing. Well, now that you've seen where Jesus Christ was born, you need to come and see where God lives. How about that? How about that? And so, Dr. Thompson, when we left off, we were about to hear about how a man of God can be out of there doing this cultural thing that the Bahamas and the world come to know as Junkanoo. Dr. Mcphee, we can hear a little bit about that today.
Well, all right.
Dr. Thompson.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. The journey with Junkanoo started when I was about 10, 11 years old. We had a little group through our corner. And we used to mash can together and beat old buckets and so forth. And that developed into us being invited to join a little group in Camp Road. It was myself, Gab Dowell, Blake Dowell. Both of them have gone to be with the Lord now. But then, and every Junkanoo morning, we would go to Bay Street, but you couldn't go on Bay Street because the bigger guys would run you off. And but we stayed the course, and then I was invited. Well, not invited. I went down in the valley when Gus Cooper was then starting the Valley Boys, and and you remember now, in the Valley Boys, the only we call them red fellas. We call them red boys. They were high bright fellas, high yellow fellas. And so going down the valley at that time with my pigmentation was a little troubling. But I could remember it was me, Ed, Mcphee, and his brother Swelly. We were the three black, and then Hugh Bullitt, who used to run. Hugh Bullitt, we were the dark skinned fellas in the valley. So we were like, just because of our progress in sports, we were accepted in the group. Because I can remember we were on Garfunkel Field, they be cussing other fellas black, and I was black as could be, but they never cussed me black because I was a part of the progress in sports and what we do. But I remember when I first was called to ministry, my mother didn't understand that culture and spirituality could walk hand in hand. And so she heard I went to Russia, and she almost had a fit. She almost had a fit. And it took a lot to console her, but she still did not understand how could you say you saving in the church and you rushing on Bay Street. But finally, after a while, she became one of the greatest Valley girls around. She understood that there's a connection between the two. And even in the Valley Boys, again, Josey, you've been around me, and God led me in everything I put my hand to. I just move up the ranks of the Valley Boys. And now I serve the chaplain of the Valley Boys, advisor of the Valley Boys. As a matter of fact, the Valley Boys almost go through me. But that's what God would do for us. But let me just say that there's so many places who still have the misconception that both does not go together. Culture is a part of our spirituality. I was blessed to go to Zimbabwe and went to a church in Zimbabwe and saw how they worship. They worship in their culture. I mean, the the people doing the same thing that's their culture. And so, but so it's still worshiping God through culture. And we have to understand that there's nothing wrong with our cultural expression of Junkanoo. Now, we have some places in Junkanoo who are desirous. We must agree on that. But when you look at the craft itself does not, it lends, it builds, it does not destroy. And most of the young men of this country, young women now of this country, because you remember, other than Maureen, Devalia, and Chippy White, there were but only 2 women on Bay Street.
Yeah. You had to be a real sinner to be in Junkanoo.
That was a no-no. But now every group now have almost as many women as they have men. But I thought that marriage is good because what it does, it teaches most of the young people how to be able to achieve something in life. Because even Josey and Mcphee, even during this time of the year, those guys who may not have been able to pass a BJC subject in school, they can get a piece of cardboard and a piece of wire and use their minds and sculpture it into something great. And that can help them to use their hands to make a living. So let's put the cultural expression of Junkanoo where it needs to be. It's not apart from. It could be an addendum to help to promote people to come to know that the gifting they have to do that came from the Lord.
Amen.
Well, I miss a lot, but Dr. Thompson, certainly your involvement in not only Junkanoo and the church, in the politics, into international relationship in terms of development of the church internationally. My concern, as you are now probably considered the father in terms of Baptist internationally, because right now internationally, I think we have about 3 of us who are on international boards and stuff like that. Pinder, myself, you. I think that's basically it. And the women's convention.
1 or 2 women,
Yeah.
aren't we?
1 or 2 women, right? I think Dr. Pinder and I think the other one is for Washington Street. The name slipped me right now. Gloria Ferguson. Now, my thing is, though, as Josey and I and Reverend Nick, our main focus now is concerning reconstruction. Now, reconstruction suggests that there has been a building or an area that was situated or created or built before and has deteriorated, and now we need to look at a new posture and perspective of where we are, which means that we now got to examine the bulwarks, the foundation. How strong is our foundation, in your opinion? I know it's a subject that must be discussed, must be dealt with, because our forefathers worked hard to build a foundation for us to stand on. My question to you now is, how strong do you see the foundation that our forefathers established? Where are we headed today? Mcphee, in the world today, we know that time do change the way we build on foundation. Foundation should never change. The church's one foundation is Jesus Christ the Lord. Now, not the church is Apostle F. Okay? The church's one foundation is Jesus Christ. How we build on the foundation comes from the who are now the master or the chief builders of the foundation. And so sometimes this is why in every organization we have what we call a guide by which we go by. And in any convention or any major gathering, they have what you call a constitution. And the Constitution sets the guideline on how the foundation is to be built on, and how to control that which is built on a foundation, and how to upgrade and uplift that which is on the foundation. So, but foundations, and as you move from day to day, from year to year, there's erosion. There's erosion by time, and erosion sometimes by personalities. But again, the foundation must be your constitution for which you sit on, and the foundation must be always at the forefront. So when you deviate from it, you'll find yourself putting the window where the door's supposed to be, or you'll see the chimney where the window's supposed to be. So that's why the foundation, which is the Constitution, must always be ahead to in any organization, including our organization. So that's I think if that's what you are asking, I think we may in the convention may if there be this disparity, we may need to look at what the Constitution is saying. Sometimes we put it on personnels, but personnels only can do what we allow the Constitution allow them to do. So again, the Constitution is what you have to look at as the foundation.
Are we abiding by the Constitution now, in your opinion, as Baptists?
I am not. This is not even a place for me to even discuss that. The Constitution, all I can say, the Constitution is the guideline. If we are not, hear this now, if we are not abiding by the Constitution, it's our fault.
Okay.
Sorry.
Dr. Thompson, another question, right? Just get it.
It's not a one-man fault or a one grouping fault. It's the convention's fault if you're not going by the Constitution.
Doc, I want to widen this just a little bit for the next question. As the church in our country today, and then by extension, the Baptist church, are we divided? Is the church divided today, from your opinion, from where you sit?
No.
No to which? The church?
The church is not divided. What we are struggling with right now in this season, the enemy has done a wonderful job of causing dissension amongst us. And the dissension amongst us makes it look as we're divided. And what's so egregious about it, Brother Josey, some of us who should be trying to seal it and get it moving back, we are joining the line of division of what he is doing. And we only can be as strong now if you ask me. If you ask me. I think one of the greatest things we have done to our convention is our chat that we have. Now, eliminated totally.
We're talking about Dr. Mcphee's chat, Doc. We're
talking about Dr. Cooper's chat. That's not Dr. Mcphee. Put it red to blow.
Doc, that gives us a good thing.
We have to be
Dr. Mcphee and those. Yes.
One of the things with us, and why I will always be the outside one looking at the mountain man, because I'm going to speak the power. I'm going to speak the power. And the chart is now destroying us because people are using it to get their agenda over. The chart not be about the chart to be to unify us.
Yes.
But you go on the chart and see. All you see is everything with slippery talk.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, Dr. Josey.
Yes, sir.
You heard what the president said. I don't totally agree with that. But I think the chat could be used to be of great benefit to conversation for education, for interpretation, for development among the brethren. Also, it's a tool to be used for advertisement, to inform Baptists all over the world and internationally of what
Yes.
we are doing within our country and within Baptists. Again, it's how you use it, Dr. Thompson. It's how you use it. Because the church, like you said earlier, we are in reconstruction.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in reconstruction, then you also must have guidelines to develop that we don't build anything on the same foundation that was not lasting and helpful for the future.
With due respect, Brother Mcphee, everything you said is what I would have said. The problem is we are not disciplined enough. Those who use the child, and notice now, only about 4 or 5 persons using the child. 4 or 5 persons using the child. So it's not helping Baptists. It's you're breathing out what you want to breathe out. We have to understand that. What you're saying is right. If it stays for what you said just now, it is. But to go to and to pick the get up in the morning, first thing someone on the phone, man, you need to look at the chat. When you look at the chat, you say, oh, here we go again. It is not a place for that. If we do what you said, that's what it's for. If we do that, it will lift Baptists. It will lift people to another level. But all these little slippery talking things on the thing, I'm throwing all these unnecessary agendas on the chat, that's not no good.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Mcphee and those advance the topic.
Yes.
Sorry?
Dr. Thompson, I would want to say this, and that's what happened in Dr. R.E. Cooper and W.G. and H.W. Brown and A.S. Colebrook and Dr. Holmes and Dr. Sanders' time has passed. This is an age of enlightenment. Our grandchildren are smarter than us. Therefore, we must be able to adapt to a universal program to enhance the church, to reconstruct, but yet be effective in saving souls for Jesus Christ. That's what we need to use. It's a tool, but it's how we handle that tool, Dr. Thompson, to enhance where we are now to where we ought to be. Remember now, you remember when we were growing up? We had 50 to 60 children in Sunday school.
Yeah.
Look at our Sunday school now.
Yeah. You know what?
Dr. Thompson, before you answer that, please, I just want to add in there, Dr. Mcphee tried to interject something in the chat having to do with youth. Are we, Dr. Thompson, from your eyes and from your vantage point, are we eliminating the not so much the Moseses, but the Daniels and the Joshuas and the Josephs? Are we eliminating them from the growth of the church again, and then the work of Baptists?
What has happened, before I answer that, because I want to make this clear. We are all intelligent school persons who have some degree of intellectual that. And we could talk a good thing, but action speaks louder than words. That's why you've never seen this president or this pastor involved in these things where we sound good. And even if you notice, even in the papers, that I don't get involved with those things, because the papers make you could sound good, on the air you could sound good, but at the end of the day, you do more damage. And that's what I'm trying to say to us. Until we in a position, until we could understand, we need not to do the things that Brother Mac, everything Brother Mac says is great, but we are not disciplined enough to do it yet. And we have to accept.
You're talking about mature. You're talking about maturity. You're talking about maturity.
No. Let's do it. Let's do it in our church. Let's do it in our church. But to go to the chat, which is the public thing, we are not doing well with it. And I must say, I do not I cannot support it in the way how it's going now. Now back to you, Brother Josey, on what you asked. There has to be a process, a training process for the younger persons to take all these ministries that the Lord allow us to build. It will be wrong for us to not make provision for them to take over. But it's just as wrong for them to try to push you out before your assignment is over. And so when we talk with New Age, go to the Eastern world. The Eastern world is strong. Why? Because the younger men mark their time and tell the older men assignment is over. In the Western world, when you become 40, 50, your time over as far as they're concerned to move on. That's why we have all this hiccups we have, not only in the trade, but even in businesses in the Western world. There has to be a time when men must understand that someone been here before you. I sat at Sanders' feet. I'm the one who had the theological training to the extent that I could say, well, listen, why I'm sitting on his feet. But he had some things I didn't have. He'd been someplace I didn't been. He had been around long enough to know some things I had to learn. So I sat at his feet. And one of the things I did, and some of you forget, I will never let you forget it. When I took over as president of the convention, I took over in 1997. I never took over my position as president until the middle of 1998. I allowed Dr. Sanders continue to do everything as president because what? I wanted to make sure when I took on that mantle, I took it on with everything that would cause me to move it to another level. So I remember preachers would come to me and say, "Mom, but you're the president and Sanders still doing it." Remember, my first major convention, Sanders was my speaker. People could understand that. But you have to think that God is taking you.
Yeah, but
and
Dr. Thompson.
Dr.
Thompson.
Dr.
Thompson.
Oh.
Let me say that. I gotta stop you right there. Dr. Thompson. That showed what? Wisdom. That shows wisdom. Because you were still under the direction of the Holy Spirit to learn, to develop, so that when you became president, you would know how to steer the ship in rough waters. When you put a man in position or a woman in position of leadership who have no experience, who don't want to learn from nobody, you expect to crash. And that's what we're guilty of, Mr. President. Preparation, training. We sat at the feet of the mayor to learn. I sat at Daddy's feet. You sat at Ari's feet to learn. We didn't think we know it all. We sat to learn. And that's where we must now go back to. Our younger generation need to sit at Thompson feet, gotta sit at Mcphee, gotta sit at Cooper feet, at Cooper. Those younger men need to see exactly that the struggle is there for us to learn from our elders. I agree with what you said, but we don't have that kind of patience no more.
Well, Dr. Mcphee, time to wind up. This has been very, very interesting. As we prepare to leave today, we want to give Dr. Thompson a chance for some final words and, of course, your closing remarks. Remember now, one thing, this today is Giving Tuesday worldwide. It's Giving Tuesday. We saw today the Prime Minister of our country named this the Great Commission Day. Today has been named as Great Commission Day. And of course, we know that's a giving organization. What is the church doing today, Dr. Thompson, in terms of giving back to our communities? What are we doing? How are we handling it? Then, of course, Mr. First Vice President of this convention, you ought to know what is happening in the giving. Lord, forgive me, the giving of our churches back to our community. So we're wrapping up, Dr. Thompson. Go ahead, please.
I think, Brother Josey, one of the things that few things in my life.
Doc, it's getting hot in here. You mopping like that. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. You use a big towel. Dr. Mcphee put heat on you.
I had to wipe the tension off. Few things in my life, I think, sort of move my anger juices is when people ask the question, what is the church doing? Every church in this country, every denomination, every church, the one to Two Shop Corner, to Juju Street Corner, wherever they are, every church in this country makes contribution back to the society and the community in which they serve. Everyone. So when we say, well, what is the church? So now we don't, not like the Great Commission ministry, we all see it into that because that's a national, you have the feeling them. But every church, I would talk about our church, I'm sure what we doing, other churches are doing. And while I'm speaking to the truck from this church on the road, taking boxes to one of the senior citizens home right now as I speak to you. Because while I was on Joe, I had to tell him I can't talk. He wanted to find out something, just go and take the stuff. And other churches are doing that. During the pandemic, every week during the pandemic, people came to Faith and I, they went to other churches and got not only food, got a meat to go with the food. So the churches are doing some things, and when you hear the ones who are not really church get up on the radio and say what the church is doing, it's because you say forgive them, they know not what they are saying. But every from a national church in this country does something to that. Now in closing, let me thank you for allowing me to come on. Usually I don't come on programs, but Nick is one of my sons, and anything to do, I try to promote it for to help him if I can do my promotion. That's something I don't do, because when you come on program, you ask questions what are not palatable to you or the persons who may know you. So you come on program. That's why you will say, well, why are we talking when they come? I ask them, no, don't call me. I tell them no. Right. I mean, but wherever you need it, no, I don't have nothing to say.
Yes.
Don't just call every week. Just on yesterday, all the press was together trying to get me to call and say some things. On yesterday with all the press, I said, no, I have nothing to say. See, because whatever you say is misused, especially the man in my position. Okay? Even on the program today, some people say something was said about someone that was not my intention to belittle anyone or say anything with anyone. And I hope I did my best not to do that. But someone's going to say, you said something with someone. Yeah. And so I live free of that kind of stuff. So therefore, I don't go on no media, and I don't go in no papers, because I try to stay free from like whatever you say, someone will say. But my thing with our country, I think our country is on a forward move economically, but we're struggling. We're still struggling socially with some of our social programs. We're still struggling with the murder rate, and there's still many persons in our country who are still being left behind. And I am on this journey that I've been on for years to make sure to see that those who are left behind, I am their champion. And the people don't know why I be around. And the thing what I love about it, the leaders of the political parties, be it whatever the party is, they listen to me. And they try to help me when I put advance a program, because they know my heart. My heart is for the people. And I say that this government is doing a wonderful job on the international scene. It's doing a wonderful job based on economic, but still when you come in the area where the people are, we're still having a little bit of, we need more care in that area.
TSR Radio is the perfect place for the family. TSR Radio, pulling down the strongholds of the enemy in Nassau, the Bahamas, and throughout the world.
We want to thank you so much for joining us today on the Morning Breakthrough Show. This has been your host, Bishop Arnold, Josey, and Dr. Philip Mcphee, with our special guest, Dr. William Thompson. Thank you again so much, and may you have a blessed day. This has been Trumpet Sound Network. What a beautiful time coming from the beautiful Isles of the Bahamas. Wishing you a good God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. Trumpet Sound Radio. Broadcasting live from our studio in Nassau, the Bahamas, and throughout the world. And now, another 55 minutes of the best in gospel music.